Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AfterBuzz TV Spotlight On. And we have a fantastic guest for you guys today. As you guys know, we over at Audition Days are bringing back past cast members to find out what they have been up to since they left good old Salem. And today is no exception. I am your host, Tony Moore, and I am joined by my lovely co-host today. We have
James Lott Jr.
And of course, you guys remember this familiar face. He is Mr. Bren Foster, better known as Quinn Hudson. How are you?
I'm good.
Or ex-Quinn Hudson.
Ex-Quinn Hudson.
We have to add the X in.
That's right.
you are no longer in Salem. Well, welcome, Bren.
Thank
you
you
for coming
Thanks
and
for having
joining
me.
us today. So let's take you back to your time on Days.
Right.
Were you familiar with Days before you became a part of the cast at all?
Yeah, I was. I remember on sick days, staying home from school, that I'd be watching it with my mum.
Yeah.
So I was very familiar with the show. So it was kind of cool when I got on there.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of actor stories, is that before they got on Days, family members used to watch it, and then they got the part on there. And I always wonder if it's weird, like if your family was like, oh, now you're on the show, and they're like texting you or calling you going, say hi to Stefano for me. Oh, let him know, leave Marlena alone. Ooh, this week Stefano did this.
Right.
Did you ever get that?
I think I got a few things about Stefano asking,
Yeah.
is he really as bad as what he comes across as? What's he like, you know? My auntie in particular seemed to be really concerned about how he was in real life. But no, it was all good, you know. The family were fans of the show, and as I said, I watched it as a child. And so it was really cool to kind of get on there and work with those guys.
Now, of course, you came on as bad boy Quinn Hudson.
Oh, I loved it.
I feel like that's always a good role to play. Bad is a good role to play. Like, no one wants to be the good guy. Like, we want to play a little bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, it comes down to Batman and the Joker. I mean, without the Joker, what's Batman?
Exactly.
You know, dude that runs around in a suit, and but the Joker makes it interesting, you know. So being the bad guy, I liked my time on Days. I loved playing the character. I had a good time. I loved turning up to work each day, and I really liked the way the character was, you know, because he didn't come in as the bad guy. He came in very kind of nice and charismatic, and then slowly you'd peel away the layers of the onion, and you started to see what this guy really was.
Yeah, because at first, you first interacted with Nadia Bjorlin, or Chloe, and almost kind of turned her into a little prostitute for a little time. How was that for you, like going in and realizing like, oh, I'm now a pimp?
It was interesting, and he didn't almost turn it. He made it do it. He made it do it a few times.
Well, you know, I tried to ease it in so that way, you know, it doesn't sound too harsh.
Yeah. I mean, for me as an actor, and bringing him to life was, I mean, it was fine. It's at the end of the day, it's not reality. It's, you know, you're acting, so it was fine. But you go in there, you don't think as the character, you don't want to judge the character. You don't want to think that he's a bad person. He's doing what he's doing, and he possibly believes that, hey, you know, I look after. Well, he did actually. You know what? Let's go back to that. Let's talk about Quinn.
Okay, that's right.
He believed he was taking care of these girls. You know, because there were other girls that he was pushing toward that line of work, but he sincerely believed that he was taking care of them, making sure they were well looked after, making sure when they were going out to work they were taken care of, making sure they were making a lot of money. So for him, he saw it from a different angle. You know, so the drug part of the thing never really got explored too much.
Not really.
You had a drug ring, but it didn't.
And it involved EJ. I believe as well.
But
it wasn't as explored as you being a pimp.
No, the pimp was primary.
It's kind of like one of the Days is infamous for this, kind of like starting a storyline and then it just kind of falls off, and you're like, what happened to that? I thought you were going this way, and Days is like, nah, we're just gonna keep it going this way.
I think Quinn kind of enjoyed the pimping a bit more, so they went to that direction. So
now, how's it like working with Nadia? She's so beautiful.
Nadia was great. We became pretty good friends on the show. She was just such a lovely person. She went above and beyond to help me and point me in the right direction, and to show me the ins and the outs and the way the place worked and ran. So we became really good friends, and she was great to work with. She was just a lovely person. So I've got nothing good but fond memories of her and good things to say. And she just recently got married.
She did.
Huge congratulations to her. I saw some of the pictures on Facebook. She looked absolutely lovely.
She did. I remember when she first came. Remember when she first came on the show? And she was like Ghoul Girl.
Ghoul Girl.
And I was like, first of all, there's no way in the world you can make this girl look ugly
No,
by any means.
I agree.
But they gave her glasses and long, she had her long hair and everything.
Right.
And then I remember her big reveal, and I was like, we knew she was going to be gorgeous.
Those beautiful eyes.
I mean,
come on. So I was saying, so in between playing those dark scenes with her, and she's so nice. How did you guys deal kind of off camera? I mean, we became friends, but we were lighthearted during the snes.
There was. We were lighthearted off camera, but there were some, times when we were within the scene, within the given circumstances, that he was a little bit aggressive towards her and controlling. So at that point, you just have to really focus on your work and push the friendship and the reality of your relationship aside, and just really focus on the writing and bring to life what's on the page.
Now, Alexander from Peru, who's in our chat room, wanted to know, what was the biggest challenge you faced while playing Quinn?
The biggest challenge? I don't know if I saw it as a challenge. I saw it as more of an opportunity with all his situations, obviously with Chloe and obviously with his mother. That was a hard thing. I think the personal challenge for the character, Quinn, was the relationship with his mother. Because at the end of the day, he came to Salem looking for her. And when he found her, there was like he was bitter. He was upset with her. There was a lot of childhood issues going on, like mummy son issues happening. So he had to deal with that. And at first, I believe, from memory, he wanted to make her pay.
I remember that.
He wanted to make her pay.
Of course.
And then there was kind of a moment when she gave him some baseball cards. See, I'm getting a little bit affected now. Because I remember doing the scene with her. And and you personalize that. I mean, can you imagine, having a moment with your own mother? And you come to set, and I'm working with Louise. And she's giving me these cards, and I have to imagine this is my real mother having a moment with me. So that way it comes across as realistic as possible, and you're in the moment. So I think that for the definite challenge for Quinn as the character was his relationship with his mother.
And that's with the wonderful Louise Sorel, who's a soap legend.
Oh, she was awesome. She was so good. She was always willing to run lines and do a bit of extra rehearsal. And she was a sweetheart, absolute sweetheart.
Wow.
And how was it like just working with her and being around her? And did she teach you like anything while you were there?
I think she was she was a great actress, so present, and she brought such a life and energy to the scenes that it was hard not to be infected by that. So whenever I saw these scenes with her, I'd get excited. I'd be like, this is great. And I remember once there was just an amazing piece of writing, and I would say only one or two words, and she'd say one or two words, and I'd say one word. And it went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I don't know who wrote it, but that particular scene was the best piece of writing I was fortunate enough to be a part of with Louise, and just the way we went back and forth with each other. It was. I remember it to this day, vividly. So because sometimes you have these moments that you really feel, as an actor, you feel grateful for, and that particular. As she'll know, if she's listening to me, she'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But it was very cool.
Now, with that, as we saw Quinn and Vivian become closer and closer together, which didn't sit well with her right-hand man, Gus, at the time. Right. And then there was the whole storyline of, like, where he planted evidence to make it seem like you were, like, attacking all the prostitutes.
Man, didn't he go off the deep end? Yes. What happened to Gus? Damn, Gus.
And, like, he attacked Chloe.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, and for the longest time, you know, of course, Salem PD comes in.
Oh, God.
Who hasn't been able to solve a case since 1975.
He framed me for it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And luckily, Chloe woke up and, like, identified him. But I just remember thinking, like, man, this guy has gone cray-cray.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was pretty. He actually, just from memory, there was a scene where he was kind of getting caught, and he really pushed the boundaries.
Yeah,
and it kind of went really. He really took it there. But yeah, it was intense because he kind of seemed like a little gentle, kind of in the background, very controlled by Vivian, Louise's character, and then for him to kind of really get pushed off the deep end. And I think from memory, part of the reason that happened was because he started to get jealous of the mother and son relationship.
Exactly.
So it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. How there's something like that, just watching a mother and son rekindle their relationship can push someone else to such limits. So
exactly.
Good imagination by the writer.
Do you remember your first day on set?
You know what, I do. I do.
What was it like?
I even remember my first line.
Okay, yeah.
I come out and I see Nadia, and the first thing I say to her is, can I buy a beautiful lady a drink? That was my first line on Days, and that was it. And then the episode ended.
Well, that's so funny.
So that was it. Yeah, that was my first first episode and first line.
Were you nervous at all going into this? Were you worried? Like, what were your feelings and thoughts going into this and this character in this realm, the genre of you know?
I don't know. I guess I was pretty excited. I hadn't been in the US all that long. You know, I think I'd been in the United States for maybe a year or just under prior to booking Days. So I was a little nervous, but as I said, as a child, I watched the show, so I was kind of familiar with it. Yeah. So that helped a lot. And obviously, looking at the show and watching a few episodes previous to getting on there, kind of caught me up to speed a little bit, which was good. But yeah, I think not so much. It wouldn't have been nerves so much. It would have been more maybe I say excitement. Yeah.
Now you were on Home and Away, which is a long time Australian soap. You were on a couple episodes.
Yeah, I just popped up here and there.
So, what was the difference? Do you see any difference between American soap, working on one, and a Australian soap? Were there any kind of pacing?
Well, mainly in Australia, I did a lot of episodic television. So that seemed to move a lot slower, and obviously film before Days. But the biggest difference I noticed on Days was the speed that it went at.
Yes.
The speed, it just went fast. You do one or two takes, and that was it. It almost reminded me of back when I was at university of theatre work, because it's all in the writing. You don't have the big explosions. You don't have the. It's all in the words, you know. And so that's it. Kind of reminded me of that. But you had to be on point. You had to be on your game. People have different opinions about soaps, but the one thing I must say is that actors on soaps, they work hard. They have to know their dialogue. We don't have time to waste. And there's not one take, another take, another.
Right.
You do it first, second time, boom, that's it. You got to cut it. So it was a good. In that, it helped make me sharp.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people, when they do Days, they realize themselves as an actor, and they take away a lot because you have to be so quick and so on.
Absolutely.
In those moments.
Yes,
and
sir.
Me personally, I just hate when people downplay soap actors because I'm like,
absolutely,
you guys work so hard, and you have to get it in that first take or two, and then they have to move on because you're in people's homes 5 days a week.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've got nothing but love for the time I spent on days, and a profound respect for it as well.
Yeah.
I cherish my time that I did spend there, and it's something when I look back, I don't have any. I have fond memories.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my time there, so it's something that I'm super grateful I was a part of, and if I had to go back and do it again, I would. I loved it. So,
see, I was sitting here thinking, remember they're bringing that Australian doctor in? They could have brought you back.
Hello. Hello.
They already had an Australian on the show. They could have just brought you back.
Easily.
Yeah. I mean, right now, things are moving in a different trajectory for me. So, I'm kind of really happy where I'm at now. But, back, I mean, if people say if they could have a do-over and do their time again, I wouldn't change a thing. If I had 2011 and 2012 when I was there, I would, wholeheartedly and happily do it.
I like that.
So we all know that soap fans can be very dedicated to the soap, and especially Days. Do you remember fans' reaction towards you and your character? And did you ever have any interesting fan encounters?
There was some interesting ones. I mean, but no, generally it was pretty good. I remember when I was in North Carolina, we had some pretty weird things kind of happen there. I remember I was sitting at a table and I was talking, and there was a lady, and she kept touching my arm, and she kept saying to me, "Am I being too forward? Am I being too forward?" And I was like, and I'm kind of talking here, and she keeps going, "Am I being too forward?" And she's making her way up around my neck, my shoulders, to the other side, slowly down my back to where I got to. Okay, I'm like, "Yes, you're finally being too forward. It needs to stop." But there was that. We had also this big day at City Walk.
Oh yes,
and I was signing some autographs, and these two girls, or ladies I should say, not girls, they came over and they had these T-shirts, and it was something along the lines of "We're Quinn's girls, and we like to be on our back," or something, just pertaining to the pimp.
Yes, of course.
I took a photo with them actually because it made me laugh. It was actually funny. They were good sports. So yeah.
There's one thing you have to love about soap fans is that they are very involved.
Yes,
absolutely.
They're very dedicated.
And maybe that girl was trying to get a job at the spa that you had at Salem. So she was like, just to let you know, in case you need workers,
that's cool.
I'm good.
I'll
I'm
lay
available.
down. It's fine. Mm-hmm.
So speaking of all of the things that you've been doing since you left Days, you currently have a film that's out, Infini.
Infini.
It's in select theaters, but it's also on video demand. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I saw the trailer of it, and if you guys want to see the trailer too, we'll put it in the description as well. Tell us a little bit about that, because it's like this sci-fi, kind of futuristic type of a film set in the 23rd century. So tell everyone about that.
Okay, it's about a space station called Infini, and things go haywire out there, and everyone on the space station gets killed, and there's one person left alive, and then there's a crack team of 6 soldiers that gets sent in, and I'm one of those 6, and our mission is to get there, find the surviving person. And at the same time, we realise there's going to be a payload sent back to the Earth, but we don't know what it contains. And we need to get there, and we need to stop that. Now, what it does contain is a organism that has the potential to destroy, without saying too much.
Yes.
So, and what we realise, we actually get infected. And then it kind of really spirals out of control. Yeah. So it's kind of like... Alien. It looks very much like Alien. Okay. It comes from the mind of Shane Abyss, who was the director of Gabriel. He's amazingly talented and amazingly creative. So when you see this film, the way it looks, it's just it's not a spoon-fed movie. It's something you really have to think about and pay attention to, which some people will love and some people may not, and that's okay. So it spirals out of control, and from that point, you'll have to see the movie to find out the rest and see how it all ends up. But it is brazenly withheld. It is non-formulaic. Okay? So when I say brazenly withheld, I mean withholding the meaning, like not explaining it. The intelligent person will look at it and be like, wow, all right, there are things that are hard to understand, but it's done like this on purpose. You know? So, but it's definitely a thoughtful movie.
I like that.
I watched the trailer before we came in. And I'm not really like a sci-fi person, but like it looked really interesting.
It sounds very interesting.
Yeah, because I watched it and I was just like, ooh, what's going to happen next? So I now need to watch the film. So you guys make sure you support Bren and you watch the film too.
Yes.
Do you like, what type of roles do you generally like and go for? Because this is obviously this is different from the drug lord and the pimp that you played on Days. Right. But, you know, with your background in like martial arts and everything like that, like what roles do you gravitate to?
I mean, obviously I have a strong background in martial arts, but it's not necessarily where I gravitate to. For me, it didn't really matter if the two ever came together, you know. So if I did straight drama, I was happy to do that, and if I did an action role which happened to have some martial arts in it, then great, you know. So I don't know. I think I gravitate to anything that has strong relationship, whether it's mother-father, brother to brother, brother to sister, particularly father to child. That stuff I gravitate towards too. Anything that has a strong relationship. And I think that's the key to any successful film. For me, when I say successful, I mean any film that I like or I enjoy. I think it all comes down to relationship.
Now, with your martial arts, you have several black belts, right?
Yes, I have quite a few black belts. I have
10 or 15. So, what have you taken from that into your acting?
Well, the first thing, I kind of went to university a little late. I went in my 20s. But I was heavily involved in the martial arts. I'd represented Australia a number of times. I'm a former world champion. So the one thing I knew is, and I'd been doing drama in high school, and the one thing I knew from my martial arts was that if I wanted to be good at anything, I had to spend time with it, spend time studying it. So taking that discipline from my martial arts, I put that into the acting.
Makes sense.
Yeah, went to university and even today I continue to study with some people, you know. So it's an ongoing process. Even with the martial arts, you keep training, you keep learning new things. With acting, you keep studying, and life's your best teacher, you know. So you read, you study, you watch people. It's just they're both growing processes. You know, they're both growing processes, and the minute you think you know everything, you become stagnant and you stop evolving.
Learning stops. That's it.
That's right. So you just have to be open and receptive, and always willing to learn.
Exactly. We have some questions from our fans who are joining us in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. One of the questions is scroll up. Someone had a question regarding the very hot scenes that you had during Days with Chloe, and was it difficult to make these scenes? I guess everyone always has a question about those scenes when it comes to like daytime. Is it awkward? Is it difficult? Like,
because we all know you're not together in real life,
right.
Two actors come together,
and then it's, you know, some people are like, it's weird because there's cameras everywhere, and you're supposed to have this like intimate moment, and like, you know, and it's just, it can be awkward.
Camera angles, I'm sure.
How was it for you?
You know, it was okay, and I think Nadia played a big part of that. Just because of the fact we got along really well, and I think because we were friends, we were able to like kind of turn it on and then turn it off. You know, so that does make it easier. I mean, if you're going to get intimate and start kissing and cuddling with someone, and you don't really like the person, it makes it a little more difficult. But if you're friends with the person, it's like, you know, it's your job. You go there, you do your job, you do it to the best of your ability, and then you switch it off.
Yeah.
You know?
And then Leah Mulder, who's one of our biggest fans, she had a question because she needs to be reminded. How did you leave the show?
I went searching for my true love.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. I decided to make the decision, and that was the last episode. So it was in reality, everything was kind of left up in the air. You know? So after that episode, that was kind of, there was no... we didn't really discuss about, returning or anything like that. So I was kind of just left.
You left the spa behind.
Yeah, left the spa behind.
Was it a shock when they wrote you as far as leaving the show? Was it your decision? Like, how did that transpire?
It went a little bit back and forth with the, I think my manager kind of took the reins with that, and there was some talk back and forth, and and all I remember my manager saying was, well, we've been back and forth with them, and for now this will be, you'll be leaving for now.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, great. So,
That's
but
good.
As I said, I loved my time there. I had a great time, particularly the first kind of part when he was that really real bad guy and had the stuff going with the Nadia and the dilemma with his mother.
Exactly.
That was the core of who Quinn was.
Yeah.
And that's where the meat in him was.
Yeah.
Because I always feel the bad people, I shouldn't say the bad people, the people who are a little naughty always drive the story. They drive more story than good folks. So I'm like, why not be bad? Because it means you get more story.
That's right. That's right.
You can stand out.
That gives you more room to just cause more havoc.
Yeah.
Hashtag Maxine Son.
That's right. Get her out there.
I have to explain that to you later.
Yes.
Bren.
All right.
It's a norm or anything.
So Tracy asked, what do you like to do in your downtime?
In my downtime, well, I like to train. I like to work out. Obviously, keeping up the martial arts skills, the kickboxing, the boxing, the jiu-jitsu, a little bit of gymnastics training too, and at the gym. So I do spend quite a lot of time doing that. A lot of my friends are into the martial arts too. So generally, when we're hanging out, we're training. So it's kind of. But you build a bond through kind of training. So that's some of my closest friends have. Come through the martial arts world. I love spending time with my beautiful wife,
of course,
and my beautiful children.
Yes, and children.
Yeah,
nice.
So that is a blessing. Other than that, it's I guess whatever comes. I try to live in the moment, try not to plan too far ahead or dwell in the past, and I try really hard just to kind of enjoy what I'm doing at any particular time.
Yeah, and of course, everyone wants to know what you're up to now, so we'll continue letting them know all the great and wonderful things that you have coming up, including the Mad Max game that is coming out in September, which is kind of like a different genre in itself. Right. So talk to us about that, because I feel like the video gaming world is definitely different than and no one really understands. Like when you play a game, you're like, oh, this is a character that someone just kind of did up and whatever. But there's a process to this.
It's huge. I started working on the Mad Max video game about 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I had an audition, and then I went for another audition second audition at Warner Brothers. And it's in a sound booth, but they had a camera really close up. And it was with the wonderful Chris Zimmerman, who directed Mad Max.
Oh, wow.
And I read this script, and it was better than probably 3/4 of the movie scripts I have ever read. It was just amazing, and I've looked at this script. I'm like, this is
a video game.
This is bloody awesome,
right?
So anyway, so I booked the job from there, and it was top secret. I couldn't say anything about it. We even had a different working title, through emails and things when I was booked for sessions, and. I got to work with some super talented actors, and we'd come into the sound booth, and I'm not going to say the other person's character's name because I don't think I'm allowed to. But anyway, so I'm here, and he'd be over there, and we'd do these scenes. So it was just like just boom, we're doing these scenes, but everything's getting recorded. So I had a blast. I really had a blast. And there was some really emotional moments in there, and times where I was reduced to almost tears, and times where I was like, breathing fire through my nostrils because of, But in a post-apocalyptic world, that's there were a lot of ups and downs for Max, and everyone knows the movie. Yeah. But the game is it's pretty cool.
Have you seen it?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. There's a few trailers out there now. So if you Google some of the trailers, and it's been in some articles in Forbes and stuff like that. But check out the trailers. It's very cool. Very cool.
Wow. And you're Australian. I mean, come on.
That's
Mad
right.
Max.
Yeah, Mad Max.
I'm sure you
is
grew up in all those
Australian.
movies.
Absolutely.
I mean, we did.
Yeah.
Right. Me some Tina Turner. Well, Auntie Entity from Thunderdome.
Oh my gosh.
I loved her.
I think that was the only reason why I watched that Mad Max was because of Tina Turner.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see her act and see like how she would be.
And she was good.
She was really good.
She was really good.
She was really good. Another fan in our chat room wanted to know if they said that throughout your career you have done action, you've done drama, and they mentioned a comedy web series as well.
It wasn't a web series. It was with
or a series.
Yeah, it was ABC Family, Melissa and Joey.
Oh yes,
You
Yeah.
were on there a couple of times, weren't you?
Right, yeah. So I jumped on that ABC Family show, and that was live. That was to a live audience and stuff. So that was cool, and that was the first time I'd ever actually, apart from theatre, was been in front of a live audience with that was being filmed by camera. But yeah, that was fantastic. I had a lot of fun with Melissa. She was great. Joey was great too. I was kind of this carpenter that was building her a new kitchen and trying to seduce her at the same time. But by the same token, I was doing it to every other woman in the neighbourhood and building them kitchens and, seducing them and probably charging them an arm and a leg. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Did you know about their 90s kind of iconic status, each of them?
Well, I knew she was Sabrina the Yeah. I had a mate actually who begged me to come to the audience because he had a severe crush on her, severe, and he was begging me. He says, "Bren, you've got to get me in there. You've got to get me in there." I'm like, "Okay, I'll get you in."
I love that show.
So he came and he watched me in the audience, and he
so
was
funny.
Yeah,
and then Joey,
happy.
of course, was Blossom.
Blossom.
Yeah.
Blossom.
He was Joey on Blossom. I feel like all of his roles
always
he's
Joey.
been named Joey.
I think so. I think you're right.
That's like a trend.
That is a trend, yes. So some actors are going to just play their name.
Right. But was comedy difficult for you at all?
No,
Because I mean,
no.
obviously you've explored a lot throughout your career, but how did you take to it?
I think well, my take on comedy is a lot of people, they try to be funny, and then I think it doesn't come across funny.
Yeah.
I think it's like, just say someone's got a shoelace and it's untied, and then over here you've got a serious drama, and say this guy's he's distraught about the fact that his mother's got cancer, and then you've got this guy who feels the same emotion about his shoelace not being tied up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where the comedy is. And this guy, he's not trying to be funny. He's absolutely really distraught about the fact he can't keep his shoelace tied up. That's right. But in a drama, this guy's distraught because his mother's being diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
But when you're true to the fact that you're really being distraught over your shoelace, that's where the comedy is,
Yes.
And that's kind of how I approach comedy, and it seemed to work well. Thank goodness.
That's what I tell people all the time. Like, they're always like, "Why don't you do stand-up?" And I'm like, I don't want to do stand-up because then you're required to do funny. I'm just funny by accident.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
By accident. Yeah. By accident.
It is. It's
Accidentally on purpose.
It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to tell a joke. It just gonna happen." You laughed. That was great. Okay, fine. Fine. If you want to say I'm funny, fine. What do you want to read? One, Alexander from Peru, who seems to be a big fan of yours,
right?
In the chat room.
Hi, Peru.
He says, "What would you want to read the role as actor?" We'll come back to that because apparently I read that wrong. Yeah. Like maybe, like what would you want to read the role? Re-emphasize what you're trying to say, Alexander, because I read that out loud, and for some reason in my mind I feel like I know what he's talking about, but then I read it out loud and I was like, I'm not so quite sure anymore.
Is he asking what role I'd most like to read for as an actor?
Maybe.
Say it in Spanish. Just kidding, okay.
Oh, did you say it in Spanish? Oh, good luck, because I barely passed Spanish 101.
I speak Spanish.
I'm still trying to figure out how to say White House in Spanish. I don't get that concept of house white, because that's how you do it in Spanish.
Yes.
Okay, he clarified.
Okay.
If you were offered with a good role, what would you say? Basically, what we mentioned earlier, like what roles would you accept? Like if it's a really good role, what type of roles would you read for, and what you would accept?
As I said, it would come down to relationship. It also, another important part is other actors, director, all those things you have to consider. But yeah, and look, my favorite film of all time is Legends of the Fall. Something like that would be a dream come true for me.
Yeah.
You know, something of that scope, and because you can see the relationships in that, the father to son relationships, the brother to brother relationships, the male to the female relationships, the brothers fighting over the one girl, and so there was all this kind of tumultuous circumstances going on for this family, which to me made it really stand out. So yeah, if anything like that, I'm totally down to do some kind of, you know, epic martial arts action kind of thing as well. But I think there's you have to do them the right way. I have done a couple of martial arts films with Steven Seagal, Ving Rhames.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So I did a couple, and they were okay. They are what they are. I mean, they're never going to win an Oscar or anything like that, you know. But I had a little bit of fun doing them. But I think, you know, I've done a couple of them, so I won't return to that kind of area again, unless it's something a lot bigger on the scale of, you know.
So now there are a lot of Australians working in Hollywood.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of you guys. I guess you guys always go to a meeting and talk about it or something?
No, not really. I don't really. Yeah, I've got a couple of
a Facebook group, Australians in LA.
You know what? There's an Australians in film, which is quite prevalent. I mean, I've got a few Aussie mates, but I guess my main circle of friends are Americans. You know, so I've kind of really thrown myself into the culture here and made some really good friends here, you know. So,
but coming from Australia, it was so far away. Was the film industry in Hollywood, was that something that was attainable for you, thought, or was it a off dream? Or
I think you've really got to think that it is attainable. You know, I was quite fortunate because the National Geographic Channel brought me out here for to do some episodes on a show called Fight Science, and that was because of my martial arts background. So that got me over here, and I had a visa. And while I was on the visa, I did the National Geographic martial arts shows, and I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by some of the best martial artists in the world. And so shortly after that, a little while after that, I got on Today's. So kind of things just kind of kept moving, and
thanks, Nat Geo.
Thank you, Nat Geo. It was great.
Was that your first trip to the States?
No, I'd been to the States before. I did a little work with the Discovery Channel, and again with National Geographic Channel in their feature-length documentary called Fight Science again. So they kind of knew me. So once they spun that feature-length documentary that we did a few years later into a series, that's when they brought me out again.
That's nice.
And the manager at the time, I had a manager, he took me on, and so it all started from there.
When you first came to the States, was there one thing that you like really wanted to do or try or anything when you got here?
In what sense? In
like, I don't know, food or like something that you wanted to see, or like, because I feel like
American.
Like when we go to places outside of the U.S., we're always like, we got to see this, and I'm always curious when people come to the States, do they always go, gotta have a hot dog, or I gotta see the Statue of Liberty, or something.
I'm gonna say koala bear. We always think of
it's a koala, not koala bear.
Oh, just koala.
Just koala.
Oh, just koala.
Yeah,
right.
Learned that on my trip to Australia.
That's cool. You don't want to try Vegemite. Just stay away from Vegemite.
It's nasty.
No, everyone told me to stay away from it, and so I did. So I just listened to
it. I do not know how people eat it.
Listen, when you walk by a buffet table and the Vegemite is still full and no one's touched it, then you know to stay away from it.
It's wrong. Vegemite is very wrong.
So anything in America, like we were saying on that note, you're like,
there were the hot dogs. I wanted to go to Pink's, which I lined up for and got my well weighted hot dog. So that was good. I enjoyed that. I kind of think. There was nothing drastically that kind of stood out to me, but. I really enjoy Los Angeles. I enjoy hiking. I enjoy the particularly Santa Monica. I like the restaurants. I like Coffee Bean. I like Sunset Boulevard.
Coffee Bean, not Starbucks.
Starbucks is pretty good too, but I like the ice blended drinks at Coffee Bean a little better than Starbucks. But hey, Starbucks makes a great coffee too.
So you also have another film that's coming out.
Yeah.
Terminus.
Right.
And it's another sci-fi film. Tell us about that, because you play Agent
Stipe. Yeah.
Yes.
So Terminus is about the world being on the brink of World War III, of nuclear annihilation.
Well, that's almost a reality.
That's right. That's right. It does.
Yeah.
This film is really going to kind of touch on people's senses, particularly if they have people who are away serving in the military and things like that.
Yeah.
So this meteor comes down to the Earth. And it holds the power of life and creation.
Oh.
And then there's this small farmland guy who wants it because of these dreams that his dead wife, has been coming to him and revealing some information about this particular meteorite.
Yeah.
And he has his own plans that he wants to do with it. And Agent Stipe is the government who has been tracking this thing too. And he wants it because he thinks he can end the war with it.
Okay.
So Agent Stipe does some pretty despicable things, but if you look at his overall objective, he wants it to stop the war. So although he may come across as the bad guy in the film, he doesn't think he is, because he sees a bigger picture. So in essence, it's this farmland country guy with his daughter and Agent Stipe, trying to get hold of this meteorite. So but it's a very interesting film. It comes from an amazing young director called Mark Fermi. Mark Fermi's done some wonderful work out in Australia, and he's great at storytelling. It looks great. The story is wonderful. He's done a fine job with it, and it's a film I'm really proud to be a part of.
Yeah. See, it seems like you're doing so great since your stint on Salem.
You're a working actor.
Yeah, that's right.
Which that's not easy, right?
Oh, trust me, I know. I know it's not easy being a working actor here in Los Angeles. That's why
great.
I'm having everyone help me be #Maxine Son. I'm trying to get a role. On days, I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to have that regular paycheck.
Do it.
That's coming in.
Do it.
Our fans in the chat room wanted to know, who were your childhood idols?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Taking it way back now.
Yeah.
Throwback
Right,
Thursday.
right.
Before Thursday.
Bruce Lee was definitely one of my idols, and a lot of people don't know that Bruce Lee was actually a child star. He was acting his whole life, even before he started martial arts. So he was most definitely one. Al Pacino was definitely one. Most definitely one. Al Pacino was someone I was just like, loved every single thing he did, from Serpico to Scarface to just everything. Who else was there? There was even, in my teenage years, I thought Van Damme was pretty cool.
Come on, good.
I know, right?
Those splits?
Oh my God, amazing, yes.
Yeah, so he was a childhood hero of mine. And Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
I really, for some reason, particularly with Sylvester Stallone, I identified with his movies. I think the Rocky films played a huge part in my childhood. Yeah.
He wrote.
And in the first one, he was nominated for an Oscar.
He was.
That's right. Yeah. So all those Rocky films growing up played a huge part in my life. I just remember putting the VHS tape in, and just watching them over and over and over again. And I think film sometimes has a profound effect on young lives.
They do.
Yeah, and particularly with those Rocky movies, it was for me, because I didn't come from I came from a very middle class upbringing, middle class family. But there were rough times, in Australia. Neighbourhoods can be pretty rough, So there were ups and downs, particularly in high school and in the streets with the kids, and through my sporting time as well. But those films, for some reason, I would find solace in them and watch them, and always, it would almost give you an extra belief in yourself. Just kind of like Rocky. He was never the smartest tool in the shed. He was like this underdog that rose and It just showed that anything was possible. And I was influenced immensely by Asian cinema too. I would watch a lot of Asian cinema. They were dubbed over in almost comical fashion, but they played a huge role in my young life. And I can't remember some of the names, but there were some Asian actors that I really would follow their careers, and
Now, you are also on this season of The Last Ship, which just premiered this past Sunday on TNT.
Yep.
My mom loves it.
Yes. Tell the fans about this role and how you feel about that. And
The Last Ship is, beyond awesome. What can I say? It's just totally amazing. We have with the cast members on there, we have such a bond, and I've created some wonderful friendships, some really fantastic
long hours.
On a ship.
On a ship, and we're all over LA too. Right. But even with the producers, the executive producers, to the assistants, everyone is just it's an absolute pleasure to go to work. I mean, I enjoy it so much. My character here arrives on the 3rd episode.
Okay.
So they've had the premiere on Sunday. Next week is episode 2. And then on the 3rd episode, I come in and I play Wolf Taylor.
Wolf Taylor.
Don't you just love the
name?
It's
like a soap name. Wolf Taylor.
I had a beard for so long playing that it was kind of went in with the character, so I'm clipping it off recently.
That's so funny.
So he's an SAS soldier from Australia, and he joins the Nathan James, and kind of gets in there. So it kind of gives it an international feel, where it's not just like the United States. It's like the Nathan James is kind of trying to save the world, not just the United States. And there's an Israeli soldier comes on board, and myself, the Australian soldier, joins them. But it's a pretty exciting role, and I've had nothing but good times, and really thrown myself into this character.
Yeah. Well, I feel like when it takes me back to when I worked at Central, and we were working on like the first season of The Last Ship, and I was like, this is going to be very interesting. But I don't know how I would fare working on a ship though.
Yeah, we went to San Diego, and we filmed on this massive ship. I think it was called the Mercy. Actually, it was called the Mercy, and it's a hospital boat.
Oh, okay.
It was the biggest thing I'd ever seen. It was huge. And there was one point we had to go over the edge, and there's this tiny little ladder to climb up. And I was like, of course, anything like that. I want to do. No, stunt guys, no, I'm doing it, So I did that. And then when it also comes to the martial arts, particularly in this 3rd episode when I arrive, you're going to see me kick some butt, major butt. But again, I don't want stunt guys to do my martial arts. I have to do it. Yeah. That's right, because there's a certain level I expect, and I'm sure there's some great guys out there, but if I'm representing myself doing the martial arts, I need to be doing it. And I was fortunate enough that the executive producers and an amazing stunt coordinator, Garrett Warren, and executive producer Stephen Kane, they kind of saw some videos, and they were like, whoa, let's utilize this. But the funny thing was, Stephen Kane, he comes up to me and he goes, Bren, have you ever done any fighting before? And I thought he was joking, okay? And I started laughing, and he goes, no, and I said, are you joking? He goes, no, I'm serious. Have you done any fighting before? And I was like, yeah, I have. And here's a few videos on YouTube, and he had a look, and so they had no idea. I pretty much got the role. I had 2 auditions for it. And I think my second callback, I got like 6 brand new pages of dialogue with about an hour and a half notice.
Oh my God.
So I was like, I went in and did my best, and I guess I was fortunate enough to land the role, and things went from there. But I'm really enjoying it. And I watched the premiere, and I'm not being biased, but it was fantastic. I watched some other shows because I recorded them all. But I've got to say, this season premiere on The Last Ship, it was a great show. I'm pulling myself out of the equation. It was a great show. And then on top of that, to think, wow, I'm a part of this show. It's just another blessing.
Well, sometimes some shows it takes they're building it up, so that way everything can't come out of the gate just like popping, because I mean nowadays with scripted TV. You have to like grab that audience, because by the 3rd episode, studios are like, oh, we're good.
Yeah, thanks.
That's right. So true.
I suddenly feel old, because I just remember like having to run to the TV at certain times for certain shows. Like there was no DVR, no one knew how to program their VCRs, and so you had to like sit in front of your TV and watch like TGIF Friday and like Family Matters. Instead, those were my shows, or like Saturday morning cartoons. And now there's so many different avenues where you can see shows and like get shows that I feel like some really good shows that are now canceled didn't really have a chance because everyone's like, oh, I'll watch it, whenever.
Yeah, and it's gone.
But thanks to Netflix, now people are like, oh, whatever happened to this show?
Yes.
Well, if you had watched it when it was on,
It would be fine.
it may still be on.
Yeah.
So what else is next for you, Bren? I mean, you have so much going on right now, and a great career as of yet. What else is up for you, or what else would you like to do and explore that you haven't already?
Right. I'd really like to do a romantic comedy. It almost seems, I'm just in the light of things, that I don't know, but it seems to be a genre that's kind of dying down a little bit, the romantic comedy. It's something I'd like to do, kind of, find a lovely leading lady and see the chemistry and, bring it to life. I'd like to do that. I'm still definitely on the lookout for that particular action film. I'm particular about, and when I say particular, meaning someone who understands how to film the action, particularly with the martial arts stuff. I mean, it has to be done in a certain way. It has to be rehearsed, and it needs to be the right director, the right second unit action director. And if that all comes together, I'm sure I could be, and that would give me the opportunity to really show my physical ability from the martial arts side of things, and obviously if it's a certain level of production, the acting as well. So I'd really like to bring my physical ability and the acting ability together in a great project. Not just a kind of a okay project, but just a great project. So I really could showcase both aspects or both sides of that coin. Also the romantic comedy would be good, and other than that, I'm open, man. I'm just like, anything that's got a good relationship, and it's weird that the things that pique my interest sometimes. I read another script recently, which this role, the role popped off the page, and it literally punched me in the face. I said, I want to do this role. So, funnily enough, the director's Shane again. So I told my agent, I want this role. And my agent in Australia, Erin, who's absolutely lovely, she says, well, if that's the one you want, that's the one we're going to go for. So she's great. So I'm hoping that that one comes off, because I mean it's a strong role in the film. It's not one of the leads, but if I look at this script again and I can pick any role I want, that would be the one I'd always come to. And it's funny how sometimes you look at something and it just affects you. And it's this character's kind of really off center. He's really off center. So even though I've been talking about relationships, this character kind of doesn't fall into that part. He's just off center. So it's like, this would be great to do,
That's good. You're just exploring your options.
So if that comes off, I don't know. If it does, then great. If it doesn't, well, you keep moving. I mean, there are disappointments, as you know, Tony. You get so close to things.
As you know, Tony.
Well, we all get disappointed. Doesn't matter where you are in your career, So it's just a part of being an actor.
Actor for hire.
That's the downfall of the entertainment industry. You want to entertain so many people, but yet Hollywood keeps telling you no.
You got to be good at rejection.
Exactly. And of course, everyone always wants to know: are you open to doing soap again?
Not at this time in my career. I think, as I said, I loved my time on Days. But right now I seem to be moving in a certain direction. I'm back onto the last ship. We're doing season 3 will be starting in October.
Awesome.
So, God willing, I'll be back to that in season 3. So make sure you watch the show to ensure
people watch the show.
Season 3.
Watch that show. Season 3 will start in October. So I'm on for that. But up until then, in between then and now, it's we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Well, Bren, thank you so much for coming in and reliving your day's time with us, and also sharing what you're up to now, because fans always want to know what's up with
Very
you.
Very loyal people.
Thank you so much for having me.
And of course, if they want to keep up with you, where can they find you on this lovely social media platform?
I'm pretty good on Twitter. I'm a little bit new to Instagram, but Twitter I try and I've been pretty good lately over the last couple of months. Been trying to respond to everyone and keep in touch with everyone. So I guess that would be the best avenue, Twitter, I'd say.
What's your handle?
Bren Foster Real.
Okay. And of course, where can they find you, James?
Black Hope LA on Twitter.
Black Cupola?
Black Cupola. Black Capella, what did you say?
And of course, you guys can find me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Lounging with Tony, and my website, loungingwithtony.com. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you every Sunday for Audition Days right here at AfterBuzz TV, Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.